On today's episode, why does Dolby Digital 5.1 sometimes sound better than Dolby Atmos? How's that IKEA Brimnes cabinet doing? Why did it break? And can it really handle the TCL X11L? What is Apple TV 4K's new audio feature, and when is it not a good idea to turn it on? All that and more coming right up. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and this is Just Ask Caleb, the show where you have tech questions and I have tech answers, and we get to nerd out for a minute or two on a Saturday, or whenever you watch this show. If you've got a question, send it to me. Email it to askcaleb@CalebRated.com, and let's see if your question gets picked to be answered on the show, like Joshua's did. Joshua Ho writes, "Hi, Caleb. Wanted to ask, what happened to that IKEA Brimnes cabinet that you said you broke in the recent moving vlog video? I have one of those and was thinking of getting either an 85 or 98-inch TCL X11L. Wanted to know if it was anything to do with the weight of the TV or just what specific action caused the damage so I can avoid that in the future." Right, Joshua. Well, that old Brimnes cabinet is still hanging out, and it did support the 98-inch TCL X11L here for weeks, but I'm not recommending that for the record, okay? You can try, but that's on you. Because the maximum rated weight for the Brimnes here is 88 pounds, and the 98-inch X11L tips the scales at about 148 pounds with the legs on. Now, I don't think you'll have a problem with the 85-incher, but I am not endorsing putting the 98-inch on there just to keep myself safe. With all of that said, though, the reason that the Brimnes broke is me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. See, when I was assembling that cabinet with a friend, I was getting really tired. I mean, super tired. We did a lot of work that day. And when I had to get up for like the bajillionth time, I put my weight on one of the cross members that runs underneath the cabinet. And when I did, I tore it up, like obliterated. So now my Brimnes is held together with Gorilla Tape and some prayers and a little assist from the laws of physics. Another thing I can tell you is that the Brimnes sagged under the weight of that 98-inch X11L after a while, and I do not consider it a good long-term solution. Anything that relies heavily on fiberboard and those twist lock thingies that IKEA uses for its construction, it's probably not a good call for the big boy. But the 85? You should be okay. Now, as for the future of the Brimnes we have here, I'm not sure. It looks fine, I guess, and it holds more modestly sized TVs, which comes in handy for comparisons here. I'm just not in love with it, and I don't feel like I can sell it because I busted it, so my motivation to deal with it is pretty low. Anyone out there have suggestions, or maybe someone in the Portland metro area want to take it off my hands for a very low price? You pick it up, please. Let me know at askcaleb@CalebRated.com. Pablo Ojeda, aka Pilo, aka Bassmaster P. Pablo's a friend of mine, by the way. Pablo writes, "Hey Caleb, longtime listener, first time caller. This may have been covered in part in older videos, but I have a question related to ARC versus EARC with Sonos, Apple TV, and 4K Blu-ray. On the Apple TV, when watching 5.1 surround content through eARC, it comes through as multi-channel PCM 5.1, but it's significantly quieter than Atmos content. This causes us to turn the volume way up. Now, after using the Googles, I found that people suggested setting the audio output on my LG TV to auto instead of pass-through and disabling eARC. This allows the 5.1 audio to come through as Dolby Digital 5.1, which sounds much better. It also allows Atmos content to come through with no issues. My question is, am I losing anything by disabling eARC? It still sounds great to me, but I read it cuts down the bandwidth when watching Blu-rays. Interested in hearing your final thoughts." And hear them you shall, Hilo. So the thing about the Apple TV is that it insists on outputting an already decoded linear PCM signal. That's short for pulse code modulation. When Dolby Atmos is involved, it's sending out Dolby MAT, that's metadata enhanced audio transmission, and the Atmos information is embedded, like along for the ride in that signal. Remember that for later. Now, when the signal is not Dolby Atmos, but maybe just Dolby Digital 5.1 or Dolby Digital 2.0, the Apple TV, if set to auto, will still decode that audio signal and send it out via PCM. This is where the problem you're experiencing exists. The Apple TV 4K, in taking care of the decoding itself, is going to do its interpretation of what should be done with that signal and send it out as like strict audio instructions. Center channel, you're doing this. Left, right, you're doing this. Surrounds, you're doing this. Sub, you're doing this. That's it. Doesn't care if you have extra channels or speakers or virtualization processing, dialogue normalization, nothing. Apple TV sending out already decoded audio signals, basically anything other than Dolby Atmos with MAT, is going to leave nothing left for interpretation by any other device in your system. And that is important because your Sonos soundbar can do a lot more with a Dolby Digital 5.1 signal that has a bunch of metadata in it, including dialogue normalization and more broad information about what sounds are coming to it. It can then use that information to enhance the audio experience and maybe use some of its extra side-firing speakers and up-firing speakers to make the audio signal sound better. The dialogue might be louder or softer, and the whole signal might be louder too, which is why there's such a disparity in loudness between Apple TV's rendering of Atmos via PCM versus getting a Dolby Digital bitstream delivered to the soundbar instead. Every switch you flip after that, whether you tell the Apple TV to always send out Dolby Digital 5.1, which is a compatibility thing that Apple does, by the way. It's not doing anything especially awesome with the signal. To turning the LG TV's HDMI audio output to auto instead of pass-through. That allows LG to re-encode audio signals to Dolby Digital 5.1 with processing, no matter what signal is coming in. And then defeating EARC, which is just telling devices upstream not to send anything more than Dolby Digital 5.1. All of that is basically doing the same thing. It's delivering Dolby Digital 5.1 to your Sonos soundbar or receiver, if that's what you own, instead of PCM. Movies or shows that are mixed in Atmos have either been created or retreated recently. The legacy stuff like Grey's Anatomy, which you mentioned in our phone call, that's old school. I'm gonna guess that a little less effort maybe was put into the audio programming there. It was designed to be delivered over cable. It was meant for a different kind of environment, and it hasn't been remastered or anything. It's gonna sound different no matter what. So a show like that with its audio signal isn't gonna give the Apple TV much to work with. And so the Apple TV's PCM output of that signal is gonna be super boring compared to a receiver or a Sonos soundbar getting a 5.1 Dolby Digital signal with a bunch of specific information and then going, you know what? We can do better here with this metadata now that we're getting some. Let's go to work. Also, yeah, if you defeat EARC, you're limiting your Blu-ray player to Dolby Digital plus Dolby Atmos instead of Dolby True HD Atmos. There's a little bit of technical fidelity loss there. A lot of people don't even notice. So honestly, if that's the easiest way to deal with this frustrating problem, just do that. Now, the next question I'm going to answer is very related. We need to talk about a recent Apple TV audio upgrade that might not actually be an upgrade for you at all. But before we get to that, I want to talk to you all, my core audience, about sponsorship stuff. I want to be clear. I have heard you on not liking fully sponsored videos. And newsflash, I don't particularly care for them as a channel strategy either, but they've been necessary because for every one of them, I can make a whole bunch of videos that aren't sponsored. And because of the contracts that I insist on, I don't have to worry about doing anything but real, fully truthful reviews because that's how I make it. However, I am working to pivot away from full-length sponsored videos unless it's a product that I truly like and actually use, and I think that you should know about it. And also, it doesn't really fit the channel's normal stuff, like a robot vacuum or mop or a robot lawnmower. I'm actually doing one of those, and it is legit awesome. I can't wait to finish recording that and show it off to you. But That's the goal anyway, right? To step away from the full-length sponsored videos, and when I do them, only do it on stuff that I'm really stoked about. So to work toward that, I'm developing other sources of revenue to support this channel. There are going to be new subscription options outside of YouTube on my Buy Me a Coffee page soon. Link in the description to that. And I'm making an exciting announcement soon. I can't wait, but I can't talk about it just yet. But here is the really exciting news. I'm signing on subscription sponsors, actively doing that right now. That's where they pay a monthly fee to support this channel, and I give them a brief nod like 3 or 4 times a month. These are partners that I genuinely believe in and think you should consider as well. And I'm excited to announce that the first of those is Malwarebytes, which I've been using for over 15 years. And I didn't even know they do like a ton of stuff I'm unnecessarily paying other services for. They do VPN, they do browser plugin, identity theft protection, personal data removal, all for one fee that's way less than adding up a bunch of other subscriptions. So yeah, you'll be hearing more about them soon, and I'm excited to bring them on board. I'm also working with the makers of Calman. Keep your fingers crossed on that one because they feel like a real natural fit. And I've got one more coal in the fire as well. So just know that I'm working to make this channel the best it can be, to provide the best experience possible. And I'm listening, I'm paying attention. And as always, you will never, ever see a paid review on this channel. Okay, back to the show. As I said before, on a very related note, here's one from Ian L. That's the letter L, definitely not that Ian, please believe. And be sure to listen to the end of my answer here, right? Because it's important. The email from Ian goes, "Hi Caleb, Apple added a new feature in tvOS 26.4 that forces all audio through Atmos. The idea being the ATV always outputs Atmos and converts audio by, say, sending stereo right through the front right Atmos channel. This saves the time lag on the amp as they change audio modes when you change what you're watching or song you're listening to. Any downsides you know to using this, or is this the rare feature that is actually just better?" Okay, Ian. I appreciate you giving me your read on how this works, and I'm glad you emailed me because I think your read on this is going to be a common one, and unfortunately, I'm afraid you and a bunch of others totally misunderstand it. So to catch up anyone who hadn't heard, especially Apple TV owners, Apple did recently add continuous audio connection as part of its tvOS 26.4 update. It does aim to make the home entertainment user experience more seamless, or at least less frustrating. However, it does not, as Ian suggested in this email, force everything into Dolby Atmos. It's not taking your stereo mix and then turning it into helicopters over your head. That's not what's happening. To understand what's actually going on, let's revisit something that we just talked about in case you skipped it. Apple TV delivers Dolby Atmos as an already decoded, uncompressed digital audio stream called PCM, which is short for pulse code modulation. Boring! But when it does that, it sends Atmos channel information along for the ride as metadata in a container. And the whole bundle is called Dolby MAT, where MAT stands for Metadata Enhanced Audio Transmission. Aptly named, also potentially boring unless you're an audio nerd. Now, the way continuous audio connection works is Apple is sending all audio in this Dolby MAT container. That's its little trick. By sending it that way, the audio signal always has a flag that's waving, saying, "We've got Atmos, so turn on all the Dolby Atmos stuff, everybody." And because that flag is always waving, your AV receiver or your soundbar will never, ever change audio modes. It will always be in Dolby Atmos mode, and that is how you avoid having audio dropouts and syncing issues. It's a clever idea, and I do think that it's going to make a lot of folks' experiences better. However, just because something is being delivered in a Dolby Atmos container doesn't mean there's actually Dolby Atmos channel information in that container. And because Apple delivers the signal via PCM, remember my answer to the last question, that means that the AV receiver or soundbar probably won't do anything creative with that signal. For example, your stuff would not upmix a stereo signal to surround, which you might want. Therefore, the sound experience could actually be worse. It just wouldn't be interrupted. It's like if the Dolby Atmos container was a can of fruit cocktail and the Dolby Atmos information was the little maraschino cherry halves. Dolby MAT will be handing you a can of fruit cocktail without those cherries. And in some cases, if the audio signal is just pears, you're only gonna get pears. You won't get virtual peaches or grapes or maraschino cherries, which ends up being a much more boring experience. Best to let your receiver or soundbar make up virtual fruit for you and fill up all those speakers that it has. That, my friends, was an absolutely awful metaphor. But you know what? I'm keeping it in because this here chat we're having right now is real, and I would have said that in real life, and so you had to hear it today. And with that, my friends, it's time for the sign off and the outtake at the end. Thanks as always for watching and for all of your support, really. I am so blessed to be able to do this. Please like, subscribe, ring that bell. The best support is an engaged audience. And please comment so I can say hello down there. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, take care of yourself. Make sure that's clearly an apple.